Hello, and welcome to It's Clobbering Time, a Marvel Crisis Protocol YouTube channel. My name is Brian. I am our host. I just wanted to take a moment to talk about Captain America Sam Wilson. He and War Machine got leaked a few days ago, and I originally saw this character, and I thought he was all right. Like, I didn't think he was too particularly great. But for this channel, originally the debut video was going to be a battle report where I was going to be playing Sam Wilson as part of an Avengers roster. And in preparation for that, the more and more I started reading about him and all the different stuff that he could do, the more and more I started to get excited. And I just had to put out a video from all the little things that I saw that Sam Wilson can do that's really interesting, that I think initially when you kind of do a quick pass over his card, that doesn't seem to be too amazing. You kind of look at it and you go, it's a three threat guy. Yeah, that's fine. He's cool, I guess. Um, but I think the more and more you kind of dig into him, he kind of can do some really cool stuff. So again, if you haven't seen his card, I'm going to put up his character card right over here, which is blocking out some of my face. You're welcome. Uh, but um, but if you haven't seen his card before, please feel free to pause the video and feel free to read it. I'm not planning on going over the whole thing. There's really a couple key points that I wanted to kind of bring up that might seem to be a little bit subtle, but I think it deserves attention. The first off is being airlift. This is the one that a lot of people will read and will just kind of think it's like diet drop off. Where, oh, it's just drop off, but you don't get the attack, and that's not it at all. Um, with drop off, you're picking somebody up and you're carrying that other person with them for the duration of that move. Airlift is just when Sam Wilson makes a move, whoever he spends that two power on just gets placed within two of its current position. It can be in the opposite direction. They can go in any sort of direction they want. They don't have to go with Sam. And in a game like Crisis Protocol, where positioning is huge, this is a really great effect. It doesn't get the same distance like like the diet drop off that people think it might have been but the tactical flexibility of it, I think, is definitely making it um, worth consideration, and that distinction, I think, needs to be pointed out in case you just kind of looked over it, or if somebody described it to you secondhand and was like, oh yeah, no, Sam Wilson's got like a drop off, but he doesn't get the other character who's moving with him doesn't get the attack. That's not it at all. And I thought it was an important clarification to discuss. Um, the other two things that I wanted to kind of share and kind of point out, one of the things that I'm excited for this character about is his shield throw. Now, I know some people might be looking at this and going, okay, there's this guy who's got a new YouTube channel who's excited about a 4 dice attack that only generates 1 power. What are we doing? Stay with me. Stay with me. Um, but the fact that the push that's on a trigger for damage, and also the wild effect, we kind of have these multiple conditions triggering at the same time. We get to resolve them in whatever order we choose. Much like we see with Quicksilver, with both of his triggers off of his supersonic strike, with Medusa with her Braid Bash, and the flurry and the push that she gets. Um, so with this, one of the great things is being actually, you know what, rather than just kind of say it, I'm going to show you. So what I've done is I've actually set up a table. I've put out two 16 point rosters, Criminal Syndicate and Avengers, and we're just gonna kind of go at like the end of like round one. Like people just move up. Some little things happen, but just kind of show you like an actual practical kind of like in-game simulation of what this shield throw could do. I think you'll be pretty impressed with it. I was really impressed with it just for kind of like playing around and kind of noticing what could happen. So we're gonna cut to the table real quick, and we're gonna kind of explain what was going on, and one of the reasons why I'm really, really excited about Sam Wilson. So let's go to the table.
Okay, so for this example, I've kind of set up like a typical kind of turn one, end of turn one play between two teams playing Cosmic Invasion and Research Station Attacked. So you get a D setup with a C setup for the extracts. Um, your kind of typical thing where Criminal Syndicate are spreading out to try to claim all the secures. You got Kingpin, who has come up to claim the center. Crossbones also did, but Valkyrie, double move forward, threw him off the point. Thor just came up for future turns. And importantly, Wong spent one action to give himself a power, moved up forward for kind of future support, and then gave a second power over to Sam Wilson. So this is where things can kind of get a little interesting. So Sam spends two power to charge. He charges over this direction towards Taskmaster. All right. He's easily within range 4. No cover, no line of sight, none of that nonsense. Now, if he triggers both the wild and the 1 point of damage, he can choose to ricochet and push in whatever order he wants. So, for example, we could push Taskmaster away. So we'll push him away here short. And then we can choose to ricochet, and lo and behold, Bullseye, who is covering this back point, is within 3 of the ricochet. So that now, again, the same thing, we do a point of damage onto Bullseye. Again, not that crazy, not that hard to do. And Bullseye now gets pushed off this point. So in one action, we got two pushes. Again, you could say, well, this is very unlikely, but you give him a hammer, and 1 point of damage on 4 dice is not out of control. Especially when, most like size 2 characters only have about 3 defense each, so getting 1 point is not out of the realm of possibility. And then, Sam, for his second move, or second action, I should say, can come up and take this point. So, we had a situation where Criminal Syndicate was set up to score 3 of the secures, and with Sam's shield throw and all the extra rules that it has, Avengers now took it for 2 secures to 1 for Sin. So that was about that.
Okay, so thank you, me. So yeah, that can get nuts. The D crisis secure setup, where people like to, if they want to play really spread out and don't want to crump together and have a big giant brawl, a lot of teams like to kind of spread out, be safe, and cover all these little angles. Well, as we've seen, Sam Wilson can just start disrupting that plan fairly. I don't want to say fairly regularly. It's not sure he's Panther Gauntlets by any means, but enough that it's worth taking the shot to do. Um, so that's one thing that I think is really really great. And the other fun thing with Sam Wilson is also his Red Wing Assault. Again, it's another one of those things where yes, it costs 4 power, so the effect should be pretty significant, and only getting 6 dice on it kind of seems a little. Um, but where he can do size 3 throws, which is kind of the big limitation for the shield throw, where it's only effect size 2. Um, the fact that you can position Sam first and then dictate the direction of the throw, I think is really, really important. And I have another example where that can come into play. I am stacking it with a charge, but we could just base it that he moves first and then he does his Red Wing Assault attack, which we should be going into now.
Okay, so Red Wing Assault. So here's what we have. We have, again, another attack with 2 different triggers that go off of after the attack is being resolved. Still requires a point of damage to be done, but it doesn't have a wild trigger, which is pretty great. So in this example, we have Kingpin, with the Researcher, also known as Cosmic Portal, about to score a ton of victory points for the Criminal Syndicate. And our opponent's been clever and has braced himself against the Daily Bugle, thinking, oh, well, Sam Wilson can only throw me away, so I'm going to bump myself up against this piece of terrain, so I'm still staying within range one of these objectives. Poor Wong, just what are you going to do? So, poor Wong doesn't have to do anything because we have Sam Wilson here. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that he only has enough power for Red Wing Assaults, not enough for charge. If he does have enough for charge, even better. But anyways, so we move Sam along. We do the attack. It's easily within range 3. And then, instead of doing the throw first and just throwing him into the Daily Bugle and he doesn't really do anything, because with the angle of here, as you can see, no matter which direction he would go from here, he would just hit the piece of terrain. So what we could do is that we can put ourselves within range 2 to dictate the angle of the throw. So we place him here first, then now we can throw Kingpin this way to get him off of those points, which is really huge. You can get really creative. I mean, this and the shield throw example from before is one of the things that I'm really liking about this character. This character's incredibly dynamic and gives a lot of good choice and clever play for figuring out how you want to do things, and lots of options for kind of good tactical kind of control elements beyond just beating up your opponent, which I always enjoy. So anyways, we're going to go back to the desk.
Okay, so that Red Wing Assault, that displacement for Sam to be able to dictate, kind of which angle you throw a character away from, can be quite significant. In the example, we had Kingpin trying to brace himself against the Daily Bugle. But if we can kind of close that distance, do a point of damage, and then we place themselves, we could pretty much throw Kingpin in any direction that we want to get him off that point, um, which is really, I think I think it's really really key, um, especially for disrupting those plans and kind of a weird control element. Which at first, when you kind of think of Sam Wilson, you're not thinking of somebody along the lines of like you know, a Black Panther or a Medusa or a Shuri or even even all the multitude of battle effects and that could be out there, where you're just advancing people away from where they are. Um, I think he might. I don't want to necessarily say that he's in that category, but he might kind of be just on the outside, kind of looking in. I think it's a tool that players could definitely use, in a pinch. I'm not saying that all of a sudden you throw Sam Wilson in Avengers and all of a sudden it's going to be the next Wakanda, just you know wrecking people on gamma waves and throwing them off all of the points and scoring all of the points. Um, you know, it's still a four dice needing to do a damage, which is, I think the math on it is about somewhere around about the 60% chance, against a physical defense 3 target. Um, so it's not guaranteed, but I mean it's enough that if it's in a pinch, chuck a shield down. It doesn't seem to be detrimental, and the payoff can be really really big. So that's kind of some of my like deeper dives into Sam Wilson. I think he's a really great dynamic character. I'm really looking forward to playing him. Again, on this channel, we should be having a battle report against my friend Sam, so that's going to get really interesting, where we have the Captain America Sam and the player Sam and getting all the Sams confused, and it's going to be wonderful. So that should be coming out soon. Also, I plan for this channel to do a bunch of guides for new players. I know, now that kind of lockdowns have been easing up a lot and we're getting more in-store gaming, I'm seeing kind of the general. It's a feeling like there's more and more players that are coming into Crisis Protocol. So I want to do a bunch of kind of like deeper dives like this, but for things like handling throws, dealing with terrain and cover, um, tactics cards, and a lot of the little subtle nuances that newer players might not really get. Um, Also, kind of like you bought the core box, and what kind of like maybe what might be like your 5 next character purchases in there, if you have a very competitive mindset of friends and you want to kind of stay up, with them. Those kind of things. Also, kind of like beginner guides for affiliations and what unaffiliated characters you might want to kind of look at, all sorts of stuff. And also, battle reports on like every 2 to 3 weeks is kind of what the idea is, but don't hold me to it. Um, so yeah, so thank you again for watching. If this is something that you would like to see more of, do all the YouTube things. Apparently algorithms like it. Leave comments. Let me know if there's stuff that you would like to see. I am extremely passionate, and I freaking love this game. I bought it as an impulse item about a year and a half ago when it first came out. I didn't even know if I was going to like it at all. And then I played against, played against myself when I was bored one evening, just kind of set up the demo or the box set on my kitchen table, and I just loved it, and I haven't really looked back since. Um, so yeah, so again, thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch this, and we'll see you soon.